team you coached last year, and then you look at.
I've coached a lot of teams. I mean, if this is the story, I mean, I'll have a story every round, I hope. So, I mean, I've coached a lot of teams. I got a lot of respect for the Capitals and their organization, their players. They've obviously done some good things to make the playoffs. Our group's done some good things to make the playoffs, and you know, the game gets decided out on the ice.
Do you feel like you have a unique insight into that team now, or can have it?
I think that goes both ways. You know, I think that they also have an insight to me and systems, but that was the case, I think, going into the 4 games we played in the regular season. So that's why I said you got to go out on the ice, and the team that can figure out their game and play at the best can find success.
Do you appreciate the dynamic between Ryan and Charlie going up against each other?
Yeah, that's a cool thing. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm sure the Stahl brothers hit it once in a while, and I'm sure there's others as well, you know, that have gone up against each other, but that's a cool thing.
Having coached both of them, what are their personalities? How are they similar and how are they different?
Well, they're both great human beings, great family. They're both competitive as well. You know, it's just, you can just tell by working with them that their compete level is really high. So, good people, great teammates, and a really good work ethic on both of them.
Washington's goal differential's pretty not great this year, but they're really good in 1-goal games. What about them makes them able to pull out tight games?
They're good defensively. You know, when we played them, they defended well to get to, you know, to have the finish that they had. They played well defensively.
You've gotten a taste of MSG during the regular season.
Yeah.
What do you expect for the playoffs?
There was a lot of juice in the building in that last game, you know, and there has been through the entire year. The fans have been unbelievable, the way they've supported us, and I know that just from, you know, previous stops or being in here, previous stops, different teams, playoffs, it gets juiced up for all buildings, and you know, I'm excited to have our fans, you know, and get the home ice and have our fans be there and support us the way they did all year.
What's your level of respect for Ovechkin, even at age 38, and what he can still do?
You know, great. He's just an unbelievable goal scorer. He's a competitor, plays a physical game, but his ability to score goals is at a level that not many can reach.
Having been around that team for the last few years and knowing that champions like Ovechkin are still there, how dangerous does that make them in a round like this, you know, even though they just skated in?
I mean, I don't know about skating in. You got to go through a lot to get, yeah, you know what I'm saying, like you got to go through a lot through 82 games, and you know, they did it through some hardships as well, and like I said, you got to give them a lot of respect for the run that they had to be put in that position. There's good players. It's a good organization, good staff, good players in place, and I know a lot of that because you mentioned the, you know, familiarity that we both, I guess, share, and so any team gets in and they're capable, us, them, anybody, and I've seen that before as well. You've seen top teams win and last guys in the door win as well. So you got to play well when the puck drops.
Obviously, playoffs become a little bit way more physical. How would you evaluate the team's physical presence in general this whole season?
I think it's been good. I don't think it's been an issue for us. I think we had guys that played a physical game. I don't think that we've been in games where we've been bullied or intimidated, and I think that's just playoff hockey in general. It ramps up to a different level.
Peter, we all know what happened last year where Boston won the President's Trophy and didn't make it out of the first round. So I'm wondering, having won the President's Trophy this year, if that puts, you know, any additional pressure on you guys to live up to it, I guess.
You know, if we had finished 1 point behind the President's Trophy, I don't know if the pressure changes. I don't know if that 1 point of winning or losing that position that you're talking about, I don't know if that necessarily changes everybody is going into the playoffs with an expectation to be successful and to win. I think you need to manage that a little bit, but our guys are confident in the games that we've played, how we're ending the season and how we're entering the playoffs.
You mentioned a few times through the course that you were playing desperate teams.
Yeah.
And that helped. right? So
Well,
they were playing
good teams, and then good teams that were desperate as well. You know, they needed the points. They had to get in, as did they.
Do you think, can you sense the benefit of that now, that you don't have to ramp your guys up to get back into
Yeah, I mean, I hope they're ramped up. You know.
it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I listen. It's playoff hockey. There should be an assumption that both teams will be ready to play, and it's playoff hockey, and that brings out the best in everybody.
You weren't here last year, obviously, but this team went out earlier than expected last year. I wonder with the guys in your room here, if you've heard talk or you guys have spoken about the fact that they want to put that behind them.
Not for a second have we talked about that. So that's last year, and not for me to speak about. And this year, I can speak about the New York Rangers and our team and our group.
A little bit along those lines, Artemi Panarin had the season he had. You know, it was an incredible season for him. He did not have a good playoffs last year, and he was talking to us before about how you hear this sometimes, like you have to go through the tough times to really appreciate the good times, and teams I hear do that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe specific, the question is specific to him, but
Yeah.
players in general,
Yeah.
like, even as they've been in the league as long as
Yeah, I mean, I'd be answering for somebody, but I do think that you're always learning. You can learn, and you can find ways to be better, and how you can make a difference and an impact, and from a team, from a coach to a player, whatever it might be. I think you're constantly learning inside the game.
I know it's a totally new season, but the foundation that was established here from the regular season, does that serve as a springboard? Is that something that can give you?
I think that you can take a little bit of confidence from that, but at the end of the day, that's not what you should be relying on. You should be relying on the work that you put in and making sure that the work matches, and it's still the same game, playing the same way when the puck drops for game one.
What is Philip Keel's status for game one? Is he
I'm not going to talk about any players so I'll probably give the goaltender, but I'm not going to talk about lineups or lines or changes so none of that. So it's just a little bit different from the regular season. I don't see any need or reason to put that information out there. So I have no comment about any of our players.
It might be difficult to pinpoint one game, but talking to some guys, the Carolina game on the road sticks out, that one up Lindgren, the win against Colorado at home sticks out. Is there one game of the 82 in your mind that, to the identity of this team, that's exactly what you want?
Mine probably stick out the other way. The ones where we didn't play to that identity, those ones probably replay in my mind a little bit more. I think we had a lot of consistency. I think there was a lot of good games, and some of them might not be as flashy as the ones that you're thinking about. It could have been a gutsy back-to-back with tough travel, or it could have been, we were down a few guys, or we could have come back in a game and won a big game. So I think there's different reasons. What I do like is that we found some consistency in our game for the most part.
All right, last one.
back to Panarin for a second. What did you, is there one, maybe not one specific, what did you get out of coaching him putting into games and what you saw every day in practice and games that you can't see when you play a one-off or you play them 4 times a year?
I think you get a much better feel for a player once you've coached him for an extended period of time, as opposed to coaching him for maybe 3 or 4 games against him in a year. You get to work with him every day in practice. You get to see how they come to the rink. You get to see how they are in practice, how they play in games. He's a fierce competitor. That's, to me, not knowing him and the in and out of the days, because you just don't know. But then when you get to work with somebody, there's things that you pick up along the way. And I think what's on display oftentimes is his playmaking ability, his game, his ability to score. But when you watch him compete on a daily basis in practice, and then for an extended season when your eyes are on your team a lot more, from a coaching standpoint, I think you really appreciate his competitiveness. Thank you, guys.